Okay, Nick Collier. Um, well, I've always got a project going. Oh, by the way, it's a beautiful day out. It's March, I don't know, 17th, 18th, 16th, something like that. Uh, the sun was out today. It was warm. It's still a little chilly in this shop because it's always a little chilly in this shop, but in the summertime, that's not a bad thing. But the next project, I went to this garage sale last weekend, 2 weeks ago, I think, and it was like a total tool garage sale. And I picked up this old die grinder, and I swear, you know, all of the inscription is worn off. I can't see it at all, but it looks like mid 40s, and maybe an old Craftsman, but maybe something else. And you know, if you're familiar with old motors, you got to crank them up and then smell them. And if they've got a little bit of a resin smell to them, then the motor's gone bad. And this one works perfect. And you know, it doesn't spin as fast as the new die grinders, which spin at like 20,000 RPM. This probably spins at 10,000, you know, which is still pretty good. So I decided, and I bought it. It was a no-brainer for me because I've been looking for one like this. The standard die grinders you buy these days, they're nice and trim and they're very light and they're easy to handle, but they're all plastic. And so if you try to grab them with something, you know, the plastic just gives, and it doesn't. You can't really get a good grip on it. And of course, if you try to get a good grip on it, the plastic breaks. So here's one that's made in aluminum and other metals, which you know, it's all beat up and I mean it's been used and well cared for years. So I want to make a bracket for it so I can put it on my lathe and use it as a surface grinder for inside holes. Like the grinder would go inside and grind this surface here and end up with a really accurate surface and an accurate hole by using the lathe and the grinder at the same time. So how am I going to get this to bracket so that I could hold it in the lathe? Then that was a bit of an issue. So, you know, kind of danced it around in my brain for a while and tried to figure it out. And so I took this piece of round stock, and this was basically round stock this way, but it was a straight bar. And I heated it up till it was cherry red and put it in my metal bender and bent it around my metal bender and got the basic shape. Then put the ring in the lathe and turned out, you know, turned the interior until it fit just perfect. So that part is the first part. Now what I'm going to do is put it on a metal plate and weld the backside and put a little screw up front here so that it will, when I tighten this screw up, it'll tighten down on the die grinder. And then I noticed that there's this hole in the back here, and it's a machined hole, which is perfect. So the other part of the bracket is going to be a plug that'll go right in that hole and weld to the plate that comes. So the plan was to have the die grinder sit on top of the carriage of the lathe. You can kind of see it from a distance there. And then as I turn this or this, the die grinder goes in and out. But the problem is that this top surface and the die grinder set up, and what you really have to do is you have to get the center of the die grinder at the exact center of the lathe, or else it'll grind funny. So I set it up and I brought it over to the center of the lathe, and it turns out that the exact center is flush with this bottom plate here, or the top plate. So there was no way to put a piece of metal between this and the plate. So what I had to do, or what I'm doing in the process of doing it, I cut a sleeve to slide inside of the holder, and then I'm going to bring the grinder over sideways like this. Oops. I'm going to bring the grinder over sideways like this and attach it to a plate that will allow me to, you know, it'll be raised up, of course, a little bit, maybe more like that. And that'll give me center, and also give me adjustment back and forth this way so that the lathe can handle it and so that it's totally centered on the lathe. So tomorrow I'm going to be going to the steel yard and picking up the metals that I need to do this project and about 6 other projects. Okay, Nick Collier here. I don't think I'm going to be in the picture this time. We're looking at the die grinder that I was talking about yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure. And I've got the bracket pretty well built here. You can kind of see how it attaches to the bottom of the plate here. Now I haven't attached yet, it's just sitting there. But you can see how it's going to attach. And then it comes in with a gentle taper thing. So right, basically what's going to happen is the die grinder is going to kind of jam up against this just gentle taper, and so that'll center it. And then I come in with eventually I'm going to, once it's welded, I'm going to split this right in half right there, and then this nut or this bolt will squeeze in and lock the die grinder in. Now the whole thing's going to sit on, and I'm not sure if I can show it to you, but it'll sit about like, well, actually more like this. Oh, no, like that. There we go. It's going to sit like that. This will be more in the center, like in here, except over here. And then that will go into the lathe holder right there. And then so the whole die grinder will kind of come off of the end here and taper out here, and so I'll have this pretty long neck, and we'll slip back over to here. I'll have this pretty long neck here that'll stick out, oh, what are we talking, 6-8 inches, that I can get inside of a bore if I need to die grind it and to surface grind it. So that's what I'm looking for, is to be able to get inside of things and surface grind them. And you can kind of see the platform there. So probably tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and weld it up and split it and get everything kind of settled. There'll be more things to do, of course, but for the moment, this is what we have. Nick Collier, over and out. Hey, Nick Collier here, greasy hands and all. The die grinder's finished. Well, the die grinder was finished in the first place, but the bracket for the die grinder's finished, and I turned out that I put it up on top of the plate anyhow. It's a little high in the center, but I talked to somebody and they said, no, it doesn't matter because it's a grinding head and it's not cutting. It doesn't have to be exactly centered. So we're set up for a little bit high. It's a good thing because it was going to be a nightmare trying to get this thing to bracket. Got it all bracketed, all set up, everything's ready to go. We're going to cut a surface and let you have a look at it. Oh, by the way, it started raining yesterday afternoon, and now it's cold again. As you can tell, I've got my little muffler on and 2 jackets and back to winter mode. But it's great because it was getting a little bit too dry too quick. And we got a long summer coming, and it's good to have this nice little rain shower. So, Nick Collier, here we go. So no matter how accurate you can be with the cutting tool, and you can see it working in here, it doesn't give a finished surface. You know, there are some metals that are really, you can really do a really great surface on, but most metals, it does a good surface, but not a great surface. Let me turn the machine off here and we'll have a look at it. back up the carriage. Let's just bring in the camera and look at the surface. You can see it looks great. It's a great surface. But if you're trying for a real finished surface and a real accurate finished surface so that everything fits very smoothly, like a good example is the ram of the hydraulic pump, you know, like a car jack or something like that. You're trying for that really nice surface so that the washer and the seal doesn't get all chewed up by a rough surface. Then you need to get in there and get a really finished surface. And so we're going to come back in a second once I get the other tool hooked up, and you'll see how it works. Okay, so basically loosen up the cutting head and go ahead and slide this off. Somebody engineered these tools. It took many years, but they engineered these tools so they were easy to deal with. And so here's the die grinder, and it just basically slides right through that same slot and locks into the hole, and then just tighten down these two nuts here, and the whole thing is ready to go. Well, except of course I haven't put a bit in there yet, or a grinder head. So we'll take a break and do that. Okay, yes, it cuts very well, and you can kind of, let's just look in close here. I don't know if we can get that sheen. Now this bit is or this grinding head is pretty coarse, so I know that once I get some finer grinders, I'll be able to get a really nice finish out of that. So that'll give me real accurate finishes. And not that I needed it all the time, but when I do need it, I need it, and that's it's good to have this tool. So the completed die grinder adapted for the lathe, and now we just have to make a box for it, because you know it'll look so cool in a box and also be protected. This is Nick Collier, over and out.